Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Padantikam Vande Ham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Shahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Shajivam Sadvaitam Shavadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam panglungam harate girim Yat kripa tamahang bande Shri Gurun Dinatan. Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees to our Bhakti Sastri Sri Isopanisad. So today we are going to discuss mantra number 10 to 12. Yeah. So in mantra 10 explain that true knowledge brings a different result that either of these. It also emphasizes the need to take guidance from a dhira in the act of discriminating between real and illusory knowledge. So we will be discussing about the result of vidya and avidya. So this is the mantra number 10. Anyadevahur vidyaya nyadahur avidyaya iti sushruma dhirana yena stad vichachaksri. Translation. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. So Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport that he quoted these verses from the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, text 8 to 12. So one should culture knowledge in the following way. So one should become a perfect gentleman and learn to give proper respect to others. So this is about behavior, norm. One should not pose himself as religionist simply for name and fame. So one should be genuine. One should not become a source of anxiety to others by the actions of his body, by the thought of his mind, or by his word. Yeah. And one should learn forbearance even in the face of provocation from others. So forbearance means tolerance. And one should learn to avoid duplicity in his dealing with others. So we should be simple. Simplicity means no duplicity. One should search out a bona fide spiritual master who can lead him gradually to the stage of spiritual realization, and one must submit himself to such a spiritual master, render him service, and ask relevant questions. So if you remember, we have discussed this in much detail in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Nectar of Devotion. So the first 3 items out of the 64 items mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami, the first 3 items, namely taking shelter of the spiritual master, and then take initiation from the spiritual master, and then inquire from the spiritual master submissively and serve him. So this the most crucial. Rupa Goswami explained this is the most crucial. And then in order to approach the platform of self-realization, one must follow the regulative principles enjoined in the revealed scriptures. Yeah. So in our case, we are should be strictly following the four regulative principles. Then one must be fixed in the tenet of the revealed scriptures, Shruti, Smriti, Purana, Adi, that verse. One should completely refrain from practices which are detrimental to the interest of self-realization. So, anukulya sasankalpa, accept whatever favorable for our Krishna consciousness, and pratikulyasa varjavam. So we should reject whatever not favorable for our Krishna consciousness. Yeah. One should not accept more than he requires for maintenance of the body. Yeah. Prayasa, we should avoid this over endeavor, over collecting, over endeavor. So we should accept things just enough to maintain the body and soul together. Yeah, simple living. And one should not falsely identify himself with the gross material body, nor should one consider those who are related to his body to be his own. Mm. So we should not attach with this body. This is called the conception of aham mameti. So we attach with our body, and also we attach with whatever or whoever related to the body, the aham mameti conception. It is asad, yeah, asad graha. This body is asad, means not eternal. Prahlad Maharaj mentioned this to Hiranyakasipu. Yeah. That sadhu manye suravarya dehinam. So dehinam, one who is embodied, suravarya, the best of the demons. Suravarya dehinam sada samudvignam diyam asad grahat. So asad, this body, although he is such a great demon, but still his body also asad. Asad means not eternal. So one should not attach with this material body. One should always remember that as long as he has a material body, he must face the miseries of repeated birth, old age, disease, and death. Janmam, Ritu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Dosa, Anudarsanam. So Dukkha, Dosa, Anudarsanam. We will see this suffering. So material body means a certain suffering. Any living entity who gets the material body, so suffering is already guaranteed. So when we can see this and we understand that, we apply our knowledge. So that means we are realizing this knowledge that we have. And then one should not be more attached to wife, children, home than the revealed scriptures ordain. And then one should not be happy or distressed over desirable and undesirable, knowing that such feelings are just created by mind. Yeah. Matra sparsa sukauntiya sito usna sukha dukkha agama payino nitya stam stitik saswa bharata. So sparsa, matra sparsa means the perception. Yeah, the perception. Perception means the contact between the material senses with the material object. So when the material senses get in touch with the material object, especially those who are desirable, so we become happy. But when the material senses get in touch with something which is undesirable, so we become unhappy. So this is natural, just like Sito Usna, just like the summer and winter. So it will just keep going, and we cannot avoid this. One should become an unalloyed devotee of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and serve him with rapt attention. So this is like quite significant demand here. One should become an unalloyed devotee. So one should become a pure devotee. So this is knowledge. One should develop a liking for residence in a secluded place with a calm and quiet atmosphere favorable for spiritual culture, and one should avoid congested places where no devotees congregate. Yeah, that's why Srila Prabhupada, he really desire that his followers to live in a community along with other devotees, to create Vaishnava village, to create Vrindavan village. But now we are too much enamored by the glaring of the city life. Yeah, glaring of the city life, where actually everything is so hectic. Everything is so hectic, and especially those who live in the city where there is no devotees at all, where is no devotees at all. So that's like really a great tapasya, a great tapasya in the sense of we are. Um, it's really tough for us. Well, of course, we have some friends here and there, but unless we live together in the same village, we meet all the time, we meet every day, we meet all the time. We have, you know, uh, communication on the regular basis, sadhu sangha on the regular basis. Otherwise, Krishna consciousness seems to be really, really hard. Well, we may argue that chanting is enough. As long as we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, everything is fine. But we shouldn't forget actually the power of sadhu sangha is uh, very much involved in the spiritual advancement, in our spiritual advancement, because sadhu sangha is the foundation of our spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, therefore, for example, here like in Mayapur, where everybody is devotee, kirtan is available everywhere, prasadam is available everywhere. So we feel much more easier to practice our Krishna consciousness. Well, it's not at all easy, but still, compared to when we live in when we live in the place, especially like big cities, when we live in the big cities, there is no devotees congregation where we can meet on a regular basis. Okay, we can meet once a week maybe with other devotees, but that's not at all sufficient. So when we meet devotees every single day, that will give us power, will give us strength. So other devotees can encourage us, other devotees can supervise us. But when we are alone, so we can do whatever we want. Therefore, Rupa Goswami also explained that this devotees association is just like a fence which protecting the bhakti creeper, yeah, the bhakti lata. And then one should become a scientist. Interesting. One should become a scientist or philosopher and conduct research into spiritual knowledge, recognizing that spiritual knowledge is permanent, whereas material knowledge ends with the death of the body. Yeah. So this is the nature of material and spiritual knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada, in one of his lectures, he gave the example that, in this lifetime, we may pursue for our PhD degree, but as soon as the body die, as soon as the jiva leaves the body, so when the jiva is taking another material body, so he completely forgotten whatever he has gained in terms of material speaking. He completely forgot, and he has to start from ABC again, from the beginning of his life. But transcendental knowledge is different, because pratyavayona vidyate swalpam apyasha dharmasya. So swalpam apyasha dharmasya, there is no loss or diminution in the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, in the cultivation of spiritual knowledge. Therefore, sometimes we see that those who just join Krishna consciousness movement, they are much more sometimes advanced than those who are, already joining since many years, for example. Yeah, because we don't know what that person has done in the previous life. and Krishna consciousness knowledge is eternal. Some people much more inclined to philosophy and grasp Krishna consciousness philosophy very quickly, and some also very little bit slow in understanding some philosophical aspect in Krishna consciousness. So we have to understand that devotee, those who have learned Krishna consciousness philosophy in their previous life, so will be easier to catch the Krishna consciousness philosophy in this lifetime. So sometimes we see this. Yeah. Therefore, Krishna consciousness advancement doesn't matter up to how many percentage we make advancement, that will remain there eternally, being invested, being credited in our spiritual bank account. So these 18 items are considered as knowledge, vidya. And most important is this number 16. One should become an unalloyed devotee of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and serve him with rapt attention. So unalloyed devotee does not necessarily a very learned person, or he can quote thousands of slokas from the scriptures. No, unalloyed devotees means those who are sincerely trying to serve Krishna as much as he can, sincere, and he never complain. Whatever he gets, he just receive it. Yeah, it's all Krishna's arrangement. Tattenu kampam samik samano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam haridwag vapurbir vidadan namaste jivetayo mukti pade sadhayava. So this is the description of a pure devotee. Yeah, despite of many miseries comes to his life, jivetayo mukti pade sadhayava. When he continues to serve the Lord, so jivetayo mukti pade sadhayava, the liberation becomes his rightful claim. Yeah, it is interesting that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, after he transformed, he became devotee. First he was a Mayavadi, and then now he became devotee after getting the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he actually quoted that verse, Lord Brahma's prayers, that just now I quoted. So actually he wanted to change one word in that verse. He wanted to change Jivetayo Bhakti Pade Sadhayava. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, no, no. Of course, your intention is good, because after all, when a devotee is engaged, a pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness, fully absorbed in the service of Lord, he is automatically liberated. Therefore, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya wanted to change that word mukti into bhakti. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, 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 you cannot do this. Whatever is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you cannot change. So interesting. Yeah, unalloyed devotees mean sincerity. We sincerely serving the Lord without any material motivation. Anya abhilashita sunyam. So sunyam means devoid. Devoid of what? Jnana and karma. Jnana refers to the impersonal understanding of the Supreme Lord. Impersonal understanding of the Supreme Lord. This is jnana. Therefore, most of the jnanis, their conclusion is that God is impersonal. And then karma refers to the karma kanda section of the Vedas. Trigunya Visaya Veda means Trigunyo Bhava Arjuna. Because in the Vedas, most of the parts of the Vedas are dealing with the karma kanda section, full of allurement. If you do this, you get this promotion. You do this, you get this result. You go to the heavenly planet. You will enjoy with some apsaras, in the Nandana garden, where you can drink the soma juice. So yeah, a lot of things, a lot of allurement. But when one is free from this kind of material motivation, yeah, we call that material motivation, then that is considered to be the Uttama Bhakti. Uttama Bhakti means the first class bhakti. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilana. When we serve Krishna favorably, we serve Krishna just we want to please Krishna. So that's unalloyed devotee. It's not necessarily that he should be a learned scholar, very much expert in debate. Well, of course, Srila Prabhupada explained that at least one should immediately upgrade his position up to the Madhyama level, because the symptom of Madhyama is that he's firm in his faith, although he's not so, what do you call this, not so expert in giving some arguments, but his faith is firm. But Kanishta, his faith is not firm, and also he's not very much understanding about Krishna consciousness philosophy. Therefore, those who are Kanishta, easy to be diverted, and change his faith and, let's say, fall down like this. But the Madhyama, sometimes the Madhyama devotees, they don't really conversion in the scriptures, but they have full faith in Krishna. So in that sense also we can categorize the Madhyama as unalloyed devotees, because he put his object of love, the highest object of love for the Madhyama Adhikari is the Supreme Lord. Yeah, Supreme Lord. So he has so much faith and love for Krishna, and also respect to the devotees. Yeah, respect to the devotees. He avoids the blasphemers, and then he becomes very merciful to the non-devotees. He preached Krishna consciousness. So that's unalloyed devotee. All right. Srila Prabhupada continue. These 18 items combine to form a gradual process by which real knowledge can be developed. Except for this, all other methods are considered to be in the category of nescience. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a great acharya, maintained that all forms of material knowledge are merely external features of the illusory energy, and that by culturing them, one becomes no better than an ash. This same principle is found here in Sri Isopanisad. By advancement of material knowledge, modern man is simply being converted into an ash. Such a hard purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, 2 days ago, I was listening. It's always good, you just listen to Srila Prabhupada's once a day at least, whatever it is, lecture, conversation, morning walk, whatever. So 2 days ago, I was listening Srila Prabhupada's conversation with one professor, and somehow this professor said that the intelligent men, they act ridiculously. And Srila Prabhupada said, if he is intelligent, he will not act ridiculously. And then this professor said, I mean, and Prabhupada just keep cutting this guy, Why you are saying like this? If you say that he's intelligent, he will not act ridiculously. So Srila Prabhupada, he's so strong, and he doesn't want to be defeated by so-called materialistic intelligence, materialistic people. So in his purport also, he's very harsh, I would say. This is actually one of the nature of the sadhu. A real sadhu will speak what needs to be spoken. Most of the public speaker, they will speak on what people like to hear. Yeah, what people like to hear. What is the breaking news now? What people like to hear. So they, when you say something that people like to hear, so that people will like you, and you will get so much adoration. Money will come also. Puja, labha, pratishtha will come. But a real sadhu, like Srila Prabhupada, a real sadhu, he speaks whatever needed, whatever necessary. He speaks the truth. Doesn't matter whether people will accept or not. He just speaks the truth. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priya hitam chaya. Swadhyaya Abhyasanam Chaiva One Maya Tapa Uchati. So one Maya Tapa Uchati. This is the one of the austerity for the speech. One Maya Tapa. Tapa means austerity. Uchyati. So Anudviga Karam Vakyam. The word should be Satyam, truthful. So a sadhu will always speak truthful. So Srila Prabhupada explained here, modern educational system simply produce an ass, because so much deviation. And also Srila Prabhupada, he boldly condemned the system of modern education. Yeah, because Srila Prabhupada also explained that this modern education is just like a slaughterhouse, not better than a slaughterhouse, because men and women mixing together, yeah, in the school, in the university. Then in one of his purports, Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita mentioned in the chapter 8, in one of his purport, he mentioned that unless one train himself in brahmacharya life, advancement in spiritual life is impossible. Yeah, therefore tapasa brahmacharyena samena chadavena. So first mention is that tapasya, austerity, brahmacharyena, and celibacy. But when we already train from the very beginning of our life to mix with the opposite sex, then it's hard to be advanced in Krishna consciousness. It's hard. And Srila Prabhupada continued, the universities are, so to speak, centers of nations only. Consequently, scientists are busy discovering lethal weapons to wipe out the existence of other countries. University students today are not given instruction in the regulative principles of brahmacharya. Yeah, here it is also, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, celibate student life, nor do they have any faith in any scriptural injunction. Religious principles are taught for the sake of name and fame only, and not for the sake of practical action. Thus, there is animosity not only in the social and political field, but in the field of religion as well. So I remember also when I was studying in the school, so we are taught religion. For example, the Hindus are taught Hindu religion, philosophy, and then the Muslim taught the Muslim philosophy. But the intention of that teaching is just for the teacher to maintain his life, to get the salary, and that's it. Whether you practice it, whether you really understand it, doesn't matter. He does his job as a teacher. Yeah. This is the subject matter, what we have studied, this, and that's it, finished. So you can speak nicely in the school, and then as soon as you go out, you can do whatever nonsense you want. So this is actually the mood of the modern educational system. Teachers, actually, their responsibilities of guru, teachers, first and foremost, is that namo chayatya samupetyam vrityam, to save his students, his dependents, from the repetition of birth and death. Right? Rishabhadev Maharaj explained this in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But nowadays, teachers just, I'm teaching because I need some money, I need some job. I'm teaching because I need some job, I need some money to maintain my life. I need some euro to get my beer, for example, like that. So then, this kind of materialistic teachers, I would say, well, actually, it's just like andhaya tandaya upanihiyamanam. So a blind man is led by another blind man. So Prahlad Maharaj also very bold in the Srimad Bhagavatam, andhaya tandaya, just blind man leading another blind man. So the leader will fall into the ditch. So also the followers will fall into the ditch. That's it. Yeah. And there is no, Srila Prabhupada said, there's no institution teaching about the basic philosophy, basic understanding of spiritual life, such as we are not the body. This kind of subject matter is not being taught in the school. It's not being taught in the school. Modern school, speaking about modern school. So what is the conclusion here? Conclusion is that any knowledge apart from this item mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, these 18 items, they are not actually real knowledge. That is avidya. Of course, there are unlimited that we can learn from the scriptures, more than these 18 items, but these are actually the first and foremost. And actually the whole philosophy is, if we analyze one by one, they are actually all covered in these 18 items mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, Prabhupada continue. To follow the regulative principles, one must take shelter of bona fide spiritual master. The transcendental message and regulative principle come down from the spiritual master to the disciple. Such knowledge does not come in hazardous way of the nascent education. One can become a dhira only by submissively hearing from a bona fide spiritual master. An adhira, one who has not undergone the training of a dhira, cannot be an instructive leader. Modern politicians who pose themselves as dhira are actually adhiras, and one cannot expect perfect knowledge from them. They are simply busy seeing to their own remuneration in dollars and cents. How then can they lead the mass of people to the right path of self-realization? Thus, one must hear submissively from a dhira in order to attain actual education. So, actual education. We are talking about vidya, actual knowledge is actually Krishna consciousness knowledge. Whatever not related to Krishna consciousness, it's just avidya. Even up to the performance of demigod worship, that's also, in one sense, considered to be avidya. We'll talk a little bit more about this in the mantra number 12, about the demigod worship. So whatever, any knowledge which does not link us to Krishna, that's considered to be avidya. That's like really very, very, probably we can say rude statement. Those who are not in Krishna consciousness may get offended. But yeah, here we are. Here we are in the material life. Doesn't matter whether you are Brahma or you are an ant. Still, you are being covered in the material realm. And as long as we cannot free ourselves from this material entanglement, that means we are in avidya. Right? Abrahama bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna. So punaravartino arjuna. So even up to the planets of Lord Brahma, Brahma bhuvana loka. So punaravartina, the repetition of birth and death will take place. Although the duration of life of Lord Brahma is very, very long, but still the repetition of birth and death will take place even up to the Satyaloka, even in the Satyaloka, the planet of Lord Brahma. So when we cannot cut off this repetition of birth and death, that means we are in avidya. Yad anudyashina yukta karma granti nibandana chindanti kovidastasya kuna kuryat katharatim. So the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam explained that Yad anudya ashina yukta karma granti nibandana. So karma granti nibandana, that means why we are entangled in the material world, because somehow or other we still get reaction from our action. This is called karma. So karma granti means the bondage of karma, whether bad karma or good karma. Bad karma will definitely bind us. Good karma also will definitely bind us. Yeah, bad karma will go to the hell, suffering. Good karma we go to the heaven, but still we still in the same place in the material world. Karma granti. This is called karma granti. Karma granti nibandhana. So the bondage of karma. Chindanti ko vidastash. Chindanti means to cut. Nainam chindanti sastrani nainam dhat. So in that verse, chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, chindanti. Chindanti means to cut. So how to cut this karma granti? Kuna kuryat katharati. So by hearing Krishna katha, this is knowledge. Krishna consciousness philosophy. This is real knowledge. So kuna kuryat katharati. Rati means attraction. Therefore, who will not get attracted to hear the narration of Lord Krishna? Because this narration can cut off the bondage of karma. So that's vidya, real knowledge. Prabhupada also writes in his purport here that we have to hear submissively from a dhira, from a person who's sober, or from a devotee, from a bona fide spiritual master. From that kind of person, we have to hear. So that is vidya. So in any case, actually, as devotees or those who are intelligent, kovida, those who are intelligent, we can learn actually from both vidya and avidya. Interesting, right? We can learn from both vidya and avidya. From vidya, definitely, we get real knowledge, spiritual knowledge, how to get out, get rid from the bondage of material world by serving Krishna. This is vidya. And then what we can learn from avidya? We can learn from avidya by not falling into the avidya. For example, like in the life of Hiranyakasipu, yeah, Ravana or any demons, So their life actually full of avidya. Although they have brilliant brain, Ravana has 10 head, and then he's planning to, to build a stair from earth to heaven. So people doesn't need to perform jagya in order to attain heaven. They just climb the stair and then they can go to the heaven. Such a plan, right? Very smart. And Hiranyakasipu also squeezed Lord Brahmas into the last drop. What intelligent? Nobody could think like all these demons, but actually they are in avidya because they are planning to kill the Lord, like Hiranyakasipu, kill Vishnu. Yeah, kill Vishnu. Although when Hiranyaksa got killed, when Hiranyaksa's wives, they were lamenting, crying, lamenting for the dead body of Hiranyaksa. Hiranyakasipu came and gave the Atma Tattva Gyan. Can you imagine Atma Tattva Gyan? He fully understands the scriptures. Yeah, he even narrated a pastime of how there was a king by name the king of Sushinara. Yeah, so he was fighting in the battlefield and died, and then his wife crying, and then Yamaraj appeared as a small boy just to pacify the lamenting wives of this king of Susinara. So sometimes when this is actually a method how to preach actually. Not all the time we immediately speak about philosophy, but when we narrate some story, we can preach also through narrating some stories. This is more effective for the children, because children will not listen too much into philosophy. So better you narrate a story and you smuggle some philosophical aspect in that story. For example, also like in the 9th canto, when Yayati was preaching to his wife Devayani in order to be, get out of this family life. But Yayati cannot say that immediately directly to his wife. Otherwise, she may just reject that idea. So Yayati gave the actually, what do you call this? allegorical story of a he goat and a she goat. How they meet these two goats, male and female goats, they become attached. And actually exactly he was narrating like how Yayati met Devayani. So Devayani fell down into a well. Anyway, this is a long story. Devayani and the who is that, the daughter of the king of the demon, I forgot the name, Prahlad. And then what is Prahlad's son's name? Who is Prahlad Maharaj's son's name?
Bali Maharaj's father.
Bali Maharaj's father. Who is Bali Maharaj's father? Anyway, I forget his name. Anyway, so Devayani fell down into the well because being pushed by this the daughter of Prahlad Maharaj's son. Anyway, need to read again. Yeah, need to listen again. And exactly, King Yayati came on the spot, and then because Devayani was naked, so they were bathing actually, and then they were quarreling, and then Devayani was naked, so Yayati came and gave his cloth and shaved, and yeah, that was the story. So exactly, King Yayati narrating this he goat met the she goat for the first time, and helped the she goat came out from the well. So like this, by narrating a story, we can preach also. And yeah, Hiranyakasipu also like that. He was narrating how this Yamaraj took incarnated himself into a small boy. Chat, thank you. Yeah, Virochana. Thank you very much. Virochana, the son of Bali and the father of Bali, King Virochana. So yeah, and Hiranyakasipu was narrating that story. So that's how he preached. So the point is that this kind of people, this kind of demons, seemingly they are very intelligent, just like so many scientists, discovering this, that, and Srila Prabhupada mentioned in his report that yes, they produce some weapons because they want to destroy another countries. And producing weapon is actually very you need very intelligent brain in order to produce weapon, atomic bomb. Person like me, or maybe like you who are here, I'm 108% cannot produce weapon, atom bomb, for example. So you need such a brain, to put this chemical, that, and so on to make a bomb. But that kind of mentality, that kind of knowledge simply bring destruction. Yeah. So that is in the category of avidya. So what we can learn from avidya, from this kind of people, by not following in their footsteps. So for a devotee, we can learn actually both from vidya and avidya. Yeah. From vidya, we can learn, we can follow the Mahajano Yena Gata Sapanta, the footstep of great devotees. And from those who are in avidya, we can learn by not following their footsteps, by not following their footsteps. All right. That's about vidya and avidya. Of course, for us, it should be clear just by reading Srila Prabhupada's purpose. Should be clear, yeah, what is real knowledge and what is avidya or ignorance. So text number 11. Before we move to text number 11, mantra number 11, were there any questions or comments? If there's no questions, so we can continue to the mantra number 11. So mantra 11 describes how one must know the relative position of material and spiritual knowledge to transcend the material energy and attain deathlessness. Deathlessness. So actually this topic is already described in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita for those who are in the first batch of this group. Yeah. The 7th chapter elaborately describe the connection, Lord Krishna's connection. Chapter 7 and 9, actually, Lord Krishna's connection with the material energy. Yeah, and also in the 3rd canto, if we read the Bhagavatam, the 3rd canto, chapter 7. Yeah, I highly recommend chapter 7 of the 3rd canto. Further question by Vidura. So there, like Vidura asking about creation in chapter 6 of the 3rd canto, and then in chapter 7, further question by Vidura. So there, like so much information about Krishna's relationship with the material energy, the Jiva's relationship with the material energy. Anyway, that's another stimulation for you to read. If you have free time to read, you can read that 3rd canto, chapter 6 and 7. Interesting. It squeeze your brain, though. Squeeze your brain because it's about creation, universal creation. That's like the toughest and most boring part of the Bhagavatam, I would say like that. But after all, the Bhagavatam is transcendental. There is nothing boring about Bhagavatam. Nothing boring. Yeah. Okay, mantra 11. Vidyam cha, sorry. Vidyam cha, yes, tad vedo bhayam saha. Avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyayamritam aste. Translation. Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So Prabhupada said in his purport, since the creation of the material world, everyone has been trying to attain a permanent life, but the laws of nature are so cruel that no one has been able to avoid the hand of death. No one wants to die, nor does anyone want to become old or diseased. The law of nature, however, does not allow anyone immunity from old age, disease, or death. So everybody in the material world, everybody is actually have the mentality of being Hiranyakasipu. We don't want to die, right? We don't want to die. We build nice house. Those who have nice house palaces, they hire some security guard, yeah, in order to protect us from death. The first, sorry, not the first, the number one person in the country, king or president, why they have bodyguard? Yeah, because they want to protect themselves from death. But actually, no one can protect them. No one can protect himself from old age, disease, and death. Yeah, I think I told one story about Srila Prabhupada, but anyway, I want to tell again. At one time, Srila Prabhupada, he was in India somewhere. I think that was in Jhansi somewhere. So Srila Prabhupada, in one of our ISKCON centers in India, was approached by an Indian man, a businessman. He wasn't a businessman. So this man, it is part of the, I would say, culture, part of the culture of the Indians. Whenever they see sadhu, so of course, when they see sadhu, they would like to ask blessings for them, or sometimes ask them to read their palm, palmistry. So Srila Prabhupada was approached by this businessman, and then he was asking Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, can you please read my palm? Prabhupada said, no, we don't do this practice. And this guy asked again, Swamiji, please have a look into my palm and read. Prabhupada said, no, I don't know how to read this. And he insisted, and Srila Prabhupada said, okay, give me your palm. Then this man showed his palm to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada just tapped his head. Oh, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said, Hare Krishna. And this man said, oh, Swamiji, what did you see? What do you see? Srila Prabhupada said, I see old age, disease, and death. That was Srila Prabhupada said. I see old age, disease, and death. But, Srila Prabhupada continued, but if you clap your hands on kirtan, you clap your hands on kirtan, this destiny will be stopped. You will not receive the material body again, and you will receive eternal body, which is full of bliss, no old age, no disease, no death, eternal body. So nobody can avoid death. Nobody can avoid disease. Even doctor, one who is conversant in the science of medication, is also fall sick, right? Even doctor will fall sick. Even doctor will die. One who's supposed to save somebody's life is also die. Yeah, doctor is very expert doing this kind of operation, giving this kind of that kind of medicine. But still, even doctor also will die. So nobody can escape from death. Mrityu sarva harachaham. It says Krishna is death, especially for the non-believers. Okay, from the Puranas we learn of the activities of Hiranyakasipu, a king who was very much advanced materially, wanting to conquer cruel death by his material acquisitions and the strength of his nescience. He underwent a type of meditation meditation so severe that the inhabitants of all the planetary systems became disturbed by his mystic powers. Hiranya means gold and Kashipu means soft bed. This cunning gentleman, Srila Prabhupada said, gentleman, this cunning gentleman, Hiranyakasipu, even uh, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the seventh canto, you will find this word, Sri Hiranyakasipu Vacha. Interesting, Sri Hiranyakasipu Vacha. Srila Prabhupada here mentioned that this gentleman, this cunning gentleman, Hiranyakasipu, was interested in these two things, money and women, and he wanted to enjoy them by becoming immortal. Yeah. So the lust will remain with us till the end of our till the last breath, till our last breath. This lust will remain even when the senses are weak, unable to enjoy, unable to give pleasure anymore, but still the desire to enjoy is still there. Just like King what's that, Srimad Bhagavatam, the father of Kuru, the father of Puru, King. Oh yeah, that was Yayati, King Yayati. Yeah, King Yayati. Yeah, he exchanged his old age with his son. Of course, he has 5 sons. Yeah, 5 sons. So the first one rejected, second rejected, third rejected, fourth rejected, and then the youngest one said, "Okay, father, let's exchange." So Yayati became so old, and therefore he cannot enjoy sexual life with Devayani, his young wife, and also being a young lady Devayani, it is described in Srimad Bhagavatam that she was very, very lusty by nature. Yeah. And because he is old, so he cannot satisfy his wife. Therefore, he exchanged his old age to youth of his son's youth. And after 1,000 celestial years, enjoying with his wife Devayani, finally he realized, oh, I'm wasting so much time. Srila Prabhupada explained actually that old age actually in that purport in the 9th canto, that old age actually a very favorable situation for Yayati to take vanaprastha, right, to advance in Krishna consciousness. But a fool like Yayati would think that, oh, I have not get enough for material enjoyment. Therefore, he exchanged And after 1000 celestial years, not 1000 years, this earth calculation, but 1000 heavenly calculation. How long? You can imagine this. How long? Finally, his mind just clicked. Oh, yeah, I'm wasting so much time. And he approached his son, who was old, because he exchanged his youth. And then he said, "My dear son, I want to give you back this youth." So, yeah, even when the body is disabled to give enjoyment, no longer able to enjoy, but the desire is still there. Yeah, the lust is still there. There was a story actually. There's an old man. He was in his death bed. We say death bed because he's lying. He's about to die. So all the family members assemble, cry because he's about to die. But then there was one of his family members, young lady, came also to see him, and he was like, "Whoa, he's almost died." And as soon as the young beautiful girl came, he opened his eyes like blooming, so happy to see young girl, and then he died. So that means lust will be there till the last breath. That's it. So nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to get old. Nobody wants disease. Yeah, everybody wants happy, healthy, strong, young. Yeah. Therefore, sometimes when we ask a woman, especially a Japanese, one time I was asking a Japanese lady, "How old are you?" She was like, become so furious because I was curious. Maybe she's 40 or 45. She was furious. She got so upset. What is your business asking my age? So never ask how old are you to a single lady. Apparently, little bit old, but single lady. They are not married. So never ask how old are you. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. Because nobody wants to be addressed old. Oh, you become old. Nobody like to hear. Anyway, Hare Krishna. So Hiranyakasipu means one who is fond of gold and soft bed in the sense of money and woman. Hiranyaksa is brother. Hiranyaksa means Aksa means eyes. Aksa means to see. So Hiranyaksa is always searching for where is gold, where is gold, where is gold. He loves to accumulate wealth. He keeps searching where is gold. But his brother Hiranyakasipu not only searching for money but also searching for sex. And everybody has this mentality. And that's actually our main reason why we are here in the material world, due to our lusty desire. Sri Isopanisad instruct us not to make one-side attempts to win the struggle for existence. Everyone is struggling hard for existence, but the laws of material nature are so hard and fast that they do not allow anyone to surpass them. In order to attain a permanent life, one must be prepared to go back to Godhead. From his kingdom, the personality of Godhead sends his bona fide servant to propagate this message by which one can return to Godhead, and sometimes the Lord comes himself to do this work, since all living beings are his beloved sons, his part and parcel. God is more sorry than we ourselves to see the sufferings we are constantly undergoing in this material condition. The miseries of this material world serve to directly reminds us of our incompatibility with dead matter. Intelligent living entities generally take note of these reminders and engage themselves in the culture of vidya or transcendental knowledge. Very interesting purport here. This point is very interesting. That we, the jivas who are struggling jivas, just like we are in the ocean with, big waves and full of wild uh, animals in the ocean, like big shark, for example, shark, and that's very dangerous. and we are being tossed by the waves of the ocean here and there. But yet we are thinking that I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. If you by chance, okay, if you by chance see someone who gets some accident in the street, for example, and then you ask, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And what will be the answer? The guy will tell, "Yes, yes, yes, I'm fine." Although he broke his leg, he will tell, "Yes, I'm fine, no problem." See, this is our misfortune. So similarly, we have been here in the material world struggling so much, especially with the mind. Yeah. Mama ivam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manasastan indriyani prakriti stani karsati. So manasastran indriyani prakriti stani karsati. So we are struggling, fighting with our senses, especially the mind. Although we are the pure living entity, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, yeah? Jiva Angsa, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. But manasasta anindriyani prakriti stani karsati. We are struggling. Yet in this kind of situation, we are claiming that I'm fine. When Krishna comes or his representative comes, we are rejecting this. We are rejecting. No, 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 I'm fine. I'm okay here. I'm okay in the material world. So that's our misfortune. And this is called avidya. Ratina janmila kenitai. Golokera premadana. Harinama sankirtana. Ratina janmila kenitai. So Ratina janmila. This holy name, Golokera Premadan, it's actually comes directly from the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, but Ratina Janmila. But somehow or other, I don't get the attraction to take up to this process, to chant the holy names of the Lord. Yeah. If we compare the total population of the world, who are devotees and non-devotees, probably the comparison will be 1 out of 1 million. Yeah, 1 out of 1 million, probably. Yeah, that means Krishna consciousness is very rare because it's not so cheap, not so easy, not so easy to become Krishna conscious. Yeah. Manushya janama paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya janiya shuniya visha kainu upay. See, Manushya janama paya. After getting the human form of body, human form of life, Radha Krishna na bhajiya. Those who get human form of life but not engage in the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Janiya, Shunya, Bishakain. Actually, they are drinking poison. Janiya, they know this. Actually, this is the lamentation song. Lamentation song. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that. Janiya, Shunya, Bishakainu. By Janiya, I know. Shunya, I heard this. But Bishakainu. Still, I drink the poison. So this is our misfortune when we don't take up to Krishna consciousness. We are thinking that I'm fine, I'm fine. Actually, we are in a hard struggle. So the miseries of this material world actually indicate, reminding us that actually we are not compatible with the matter, because our constitutional position is the Satchit Ananda. The spirit soul is Satchit Ananda. But the material world is Achit, Asat, and Nirananda. It just reveals her. Not at all compatible. Just like you want to mix water and oil, for example. Water and oil, they cannot mix. They will be always separate. Okay, you put in a bottle, for example, water and oil, you shake it. Yes, they mix for some time. And when the bottle, you keep the bottle for an hour, for example. So the water and the oil will be separated. That means this water and oil cannot be cannot be united. So similarly, also we, the jivas, we are always hampered, always kicked by the material energy, and we always suffering here. because this is not our real place. Just like the analogy given by Srila Prabhupada is just like a fish taken out of the water. Doesn't matter you give soft bed to the fish on the land. Yeah, on the land you give soft bed, a beautiful woman, a lot of cash, dollar, nice food stuff. The fish will not be happy. Doesn't matter what facility you offer, nice car to the fish on the land. The fish will not be happy. The only happiness for the fish is that bring that fish back to the water. So similar in the material world, we may have some so-called comfortable situation of life, like a big house. You may have maid servant. You may have a lot of money, wealth, nice food stuff. But after all, this is not our real place. Still, suffering will come. Adi Daiva, Adi Bautika, Adi Atmika. Yeah, Adi Atmika. Tsunami will come, earthquake, yeah, flood, Adi Daiva. And then Adi Bautika. So mosquitoes bite. We are suffering. We're complaining so much mosquito. And then Adi Atmika, our mind, mostly we are suffering due to our mind. Why rich person commit suicide, for example? Yeah. What he lacks in his life? Nothing. He's wealthy, that's desirable by everybody in the material world. Still, some rich people, they are committing suicide, struggling with the mind. So the very nature of material world giving suffering. And our nature is Satchit Ananda. Yeah. So we are not at all compatible with matter, with the material world. So get out from this material world, go to the spiritual world, just like the fish. Go back to water, and the fish will gain his real happiness. All right. The path of avidya or advancement of material knowledge for sense gratification is path of repeated birth and death. Yeah, as long as we are hoping again and again to enjoy the senses, will come again in different types of body. Those who are enjoying like pig eating nasty things, they will get it in next life. Those who love to be naked, they will become a tree and so on. Therefore, the culture of vidya or transcendental knowledge is essential for the human being. Sense enjoyment in the diseased material condition must be restricted as far as possible. Unrestricted sense enjoyment in this bodily condition is the path of ignorance and death. So interesting here that this knowledge, transcendental knowledge, is meant for the human being. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that this Krishna consciousness movement is not for the cats and the dogs. That means this Krishna consciousness movement is for the human, because cats and dogs are animals. They cannot understand anything because they are animals. Yeah, because animal cannot take up to the process of Krishna consciousness. Of course, in the pastime of Lord Chaitanya, we may find that in his childhood pastime, he found a dog. He found actually a puppy, yeah, a little dog, baby dog. He found a puppy, took to his house, and Sachimata said, "No, no, no, this is Muchi. You cannot touch this." And anyway, that pastime end up by finally this dog, just with the slight association with Gauranga Mahaprabhu, this dog going all around to the villages and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Yeah, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But nowadays we don't find that. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that this Krishna consciousness movement is for the human being. Yeah, and those human being not taking up to the process of Krishna consciousness, that means they are none better than the animals. Yeah, dharmo hite samadhiko viseso dharmena hina pasubi naranam. So dharmena hina pasubi naranam. So not better than the animal. Yeah, and also this is a disease condition. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada writes here, it is a disease condition. Disease means when we are not functioning properly, not functioning properly. So when you disease, when you're sick, you just lay on the bed. You don't feel that you want to do something. That means you are sick, you are in disease condition. So similarly, when we don't function properly as the spirit soul, that means we are in a disease condition. Interestingly, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Antyalila, the chapter of passing of the Haridas Thakur, passing of the Srila Haridas Thakur. So Haridas, now he becomes very old, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and then asked Haridas, so Haridas, you are sick. Can you tell me, can you ascertain what is your disease? What is your disease? And then Haridas Thakur replied, my Lord, my disease is I'm unable to fulfill my vows to chant 3 lakhs name per day. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Haridas, you have been chanting so much. Even if you don't chant anymore now, that's okay, that's fine. But Haridas' mood is that I cannot keep up my vow to chant this 3 lakhs name. That means I'm in a disease condition. So when we fail to chant 16 rounds, we have to understand that actually we are in a disease condition. Sometimes our mind think that, okay, you are so tired today, please take rest. There are 4 rounds left. It's okay. Tomorrow you can chant 20 rounds. It's okay, bro. Relax. Sleep now, sleep. Mind will always cheat like that. But we have to understand that this is a disease. When I read that section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, I was like, whoa, yeah, actually, to follow strictly our vow, especially those who already taken initiation, we should never fail to chant 16 rounds. Otherwise, we are in a disease condition. Make priority. Your japa should be your priority. It's a different experience when you complete your 16 rounds early in the morning, for example, like before 8 o'clock. You complete your rounds, 16 rounds, and whatever service you will do or whatever activities you will do during the day, you feel like very light in the sense of no burden. But when you don't finish your 16 rounds, like, oh, somehow or other, you will get so much trouble. Anyway, it's 1.5 hours already. So we finished in the chapter, in the mantra 11. I was expecting to cover also mantra number 12. Anyway, were there any questions or comments on that regarding vidya and avidya? Of course, for us, it's clear that what is real knowledge, and of course, Krishna consciousness practice, Krishna consciousness philosophy is real knowledge because it guarantees our freedom from the material entanglement. Okay, Hare Krishna. Any comment? Question?
Prabhu, Bali Maharaj father is Viruchana, right? Prahlad Maharaj son.
Yes, Virochana. Devayani, and what is Virochana's daughter's name? Katya, something like Katya. Need to read again. Anyway, that pastime also interesting. Okay, if there's no more, I would stop here. We continue on.
So I have one question.
Okay.
What is the pastime of Virochana?
What is the pastime of Virochana?
Lord Trivikrama said to not Trivikrama, Nasir Dev told to Prahlad Maharaj that I will not kill any of your lineage.
Mhm.
So that's why Trivikram put Bali Maharaj to the Patal Lok.
Mm.
But what about Virochan?
Virochan, he's also not killed. Well, he was ruling the universe once. Yeah, he was ruling the universe once. He conquered the demigod, but he was not killed. Not sure about any specific pastimes about Virochana. But yes, Lord Nisingade, keeping up that promise to Prahlad Maharaj that his descendants will not be killed. Yeah, Virochana and the son of Bali Maharaj. Yeah, who is that? Banasur, I think. Banasur. Yeah, the devotee of Lord Shiva. So devotee of Lord Shiva, he was also not killed by Lord Krishna, by Lord Krishna, because Lord Nrsimha promised to Prahlad Maharaj. Even in that fight, actually, Lord Shiva also fighting on behalf of his devotee Banasur, up to the level of he released his Sivajwara. That Sivajwara is very devastating weapon, but Lord Krishna, of course, released the Vishnu Jwara to subdue the Shiva Jwara, to cool. So Shiva Jwara is fire, and this Vishnu Jwara is like ice, water weapon. But still, Lord Vishnu did not kill Banasur. I think he was asking for the boon to get 1,000 hands. Yeah. And he was crushing all the mountains and challenging all the personality. Like yeah, Virochana. Need to read again. Or anybody remembers what specific pastime about Virochan? Okay, Vanamali Prabhu will do some little research on that and we'll get back to you. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Right.
Okay, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha, Vasindubhya evacha, Patitanam pavanebhyo,
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Namo Namaha.
Vaishnavibhyo.
Hare Krishna.